2015 revival of Spring Awakening and Screen, starring in the indie flick Manifest Destiny Down. She will be releasing her first studio EP, The Music Box, this summer. Give it up for Lexi.
Oh, hello. All right. So I pick up the phone and I press mom. And for the record, I don't like upsetting my mother. So I say, "Hi Mom, it's me. Yes, I'm okay. Well, I just wanted to tell you that I booked a trip to India next month. I'm going by myself. No, I'm not meeting anyone there because I don't want to go with him. Because I want to go alone. I do intend to carry a backpack, and I already got it. Yes, I got the shots. No, everything is booked in. Okay, so it's really just the pray in the Eat, Pray, Love. And maybe some eating, because I like Indian. No, I'm not going to find myself there. Yes, I'm aware that I can find myself anywhere. Well, no, actually, I don't think anyone goes to Los Angeles to find themselves. In fact, I think that's kind of the opposite of what LA really is. I understand her concern, but I am committed because I'm doing this for me. Far from home. My fiance of 3 years drops me off at LAX. He takes a picture of me holding my backpack, and from behind the lens I hear, "Last chance to change your mind." Click. He looks up, and his eyes water, but it could be a trick of the heat. The first time we meet at his music studio off Sunset Boulevard, I incognito study his profile. He's certainly older than I am, but I can't quite tell how much older. He has a brown ponytail, which I have mixed feelings about, and a matching beard, except on his chin where all the hairs are gray. I decide this adds some character. I'm 22 and just graduated from the University of Southern California with a degree in musical theater and a voice that has been battered into near silence. Take my last week on campus, for instance. During the now defunct tradition of what used to be the USC Senior Fountain Run, I get into a tussle with a plumeria tree thanks to half a handle of Jack Daniels and my ex-boyfriend, Mike. Alone, I sit with my reflection. A twig in my hair, and a bloody gash on my arm, and a sad-looking unicorn floaty hanging from my waist. And this is what I can see through the goggles that are, squished against my face. And I decide I look like Quentin Tarantino's bikini-clad version of, collegiate rock bottom. This particular episode is a mere battle in a war that's been raging on for years. Me versus the perfect me that gets straight A's, has perfect body and perfect hair, and wakes up in the morning without morning breath and never uses the snooze bar 3 or 5 or 11 times. Anyway. This me versus that me, who just always radiates positivity and never disappoints anyone. But on Sunset Boulevard, in front of this older man, I suddenly feel an opportunity to start over, and he makes me feel safe. So it's bittersweet 3 years later, as the plane takes off for India, that I think of him driving home on the 405, and me flying away. 3 flights and 1 very bumpy cab ride into the jungle, I know that I have made the greatest decision of my life. My body comes alive in the muggy monsoon season humidity, and my eyes can practically hear the colors jingle with their high-def vibrancy. And I can smell the cows before I see them crossing the road. I hear horns and bells and children chattering on their way home from school. And the jungle, can I hear the jungle? I think I can hear the jungle calling from my window in the ashram, and I realize I'm finally alone. Alone has been my darkness, ever at my heels. Alone and depressed. Depression to me is not a choice. This whole, I'm depressed because I'm choosing to be sad stuff, no. When my father suffers a massive and debilitating stroke my sophomore year of college, it not only changes his life, but it changes the course of our family's life. It's true, he wakes up alive, but what about when he realizes that he cannot read, nor write, nor speak? Seeing my father like this, I mean, to be honest, it totally fucks me up. You know how sometimes people have bizarre reactions to grief? So I just cannot contain my laughter in the waiting room of the hospital, and I feel like I've been possessed by the Joker in Batman. And I really can't stop. And this is when the guilt and the shame take hold of me. Like, laughing? How dare you? You know, and laughing just doesn't feel the same anymore. Singing? I slowly forget how. In a daze, I see the man who has become my creative mentor down on one knee. The ring sparkles and the Christmas lights hung around the piazza, and the only thing I can hear is the word no reverberating around like dully somewhere far off in the back of my mind. So I eloquently reply, now? And he's shocked, and I'm shocked, but I don't know what to say because now somehow doesn't feel appropriate for this very romantic setup. And I've only known him a year, and he's flown me all the way to Italy, for crying out loud. He's 16 years my senior. And he's looking at me, and he's waiting for me to say something. And I just feel like this frightened bird who's accidentally flown inside an open window straight into the outstretched safety of a cage. And year after year, I lose myself in this relationship, ignoring the unladylike rage and sadness that I feel inside while having it all. So by the time I get my dream come true debut on Broadway in the revival of Spring Awakening, I'm in the most intense throes of depression and my eating disorder. And the volume knob is turned all the way up on this voice that keeps shouting, you're not good enough, you're not talented enough, you're a total fraud. And it's like I'm hanging onto the side of a ship in a storm, and the only thing that I can get my hands on, that I can control, is my appearance. And that voice is like, it's just because you're not skinny enough. In this world of social media, everyone just really seems to have their shit together all the time, huh? Well, let me tell you, I have struggled with bulimia and depression for years. And the kicker, these conditions thrive in the secrecy of shame and guilt. And they knock you off your game and into an infinite loop where every go round feels like you're losing more agency to choose who you want to be and where you go next. And now that I'm proudly what I consider to be on the other side, I can say that sharing my experience openly and creatively is the only reason that I am healing. So my last day in India, the sky is a soft purple and gold. And I read through all of the pages that I've journaled while the sun sets behind the dark emerald green Himalayan foothills. And I think of my mom, worried about me, fairly. And I think, was she right? I mean, don't we all have that maybe mom was right moment at some point? Did I come here to find myself? And I sit in the loudest silence and I try to calculate the miles home. You know, where is home? LA, New York, and with him or without him? And I finally just stop asking questions and I forgive myself. And I look down at my toes and they blur in the rushing gray water of the Ganges River, and I take a deep breath. And when I exhale, I'm laughing and I'm crying at the same time, and it feels absolutely ridiculous, but I can't stop because the river is sweeping it all away. So back in LA, I slip the ring off of my finger and I gently place it back in his palm. Last chance to change my mind. And every day since, I rally my courage and I put my thoughts into my songs. Thank you.